Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, August 23rd, 2024. I have a lot of good news because in a world full of bad news and less than favorable things happening, regardless of what you believe, okay, I like to share a little bit of good news. And here's some good news. The tropics are dead quiet. I mean, they're as quiet as you could possibly be. Now, I've been talking about this to premium consulting members for a couple of weeks now and explaining why I think that this is evolving the way it is. And look, my forecast for the tropical season was active, above normal, not extreme like some other, let's say, sources that were calling for historic and cataclysmic hurricane seasons and all this other nonsense. I'd certainly like the idea of above normal because you're right. You had a developing La Nina, which has been very much slower to develop than anyone had expected, and you had very warm waters. So if you had favorable conditions and above normal sea surface temperatures, hey, yeah, a lot of things are going to get rocking and rolling. But if your La Nina doesn't develop, which it hasn't so far, it's getting there. It's starting to evolve. It's moving in that direction, but it's not established, right? So that means that you don't really have the support of a weak 850 millibar, or should I say a subtropical jet stream, which means that you still have some shear over the Atlantic. You still have some dry air moving off from the Sahara Desert, which we've been seeing. And the short waves coming off, or the tropical waves, as you like to call them, coming off the African coast, well, they're not as robust. And that's essentially what we're saying. Look at the intertropical convergence zone. It is quiet. And again, this is late August. Usually this is bustling at the very least with a couple of interesting waves, maybe a spin here and there. Not necessarily, 3 or 4 tropical storms, but at the very least active. We're not even seeing that. And part of that is a very interesting feature here. Right along the African coast, we actually had some cooler waters. So the Atlantic is actually starting to cool a bit. It's actually a little bit cooler in some spots than it was last year. So a lot of interesting changes going on in the tropics, and they're all good news because I know that there's some of you that love to chase storms and all that stuff, but no one wants a hurricane. No sane person wants a hurricane to impact their home, where they live, where they have friends and family. No one wants to deal with that flooding. So this is great news. And I got even better news for you because this is a wonderful day. Listen, I'm going to try and make it. Can you tell the Mets won last night? Look at the forecast over the next 10 to 15 days from the European ensemble guidance. This is not very impressive. You got a lot of weak low pressure systems, maybe a tropical depression or two, no major storms, no signs of hurricanes or anything of that nature. Even the GFS, which always spins something up, doesn't really have anything out there. So there you have it in terms of the tropics. Very quiet. And I got even better news for you. At home, it's even better. It's beautiful out there. Low humidity, clear skies. Now, we have been roughly 6 to 10 degrees below normal throughout much of this week with extremely pleasant fall-like weather conditions. Kind of makes you want to go out there and shop for some Halloween decorations and some fall decorations and maybe look for that early pumpkin latte that you might get, or in my case, just pumpkin pie. Yeah, some nice stuff, right? Getting ready for football season, that feel of fall in the air where you're getting ready for playoff baseball where the Mets will shock everyone and run to the World Series, all that good stuff. Well, that's starting to leave, and we're going to return more to a bit more summer-like conditions. Temperatures this morning range from the mid to upper 50s over the northern interior and your higher elevations, lower to mid 60s in your suburbs, mid 60s touching 70 degrees already around JFK. So in your urban areas, it's warming up a little bit fast as you would expect. And on your radar and surface map from WeatherTap, not much going on because high pressure's in control, and that's going to be the case for much of this weekend. But when we take a look at the upper level winds here, kind of tells an interesting story. Okay. And part of that story is we still are gaining some influences of that La Nina. And part of that is the enhancement of the polar jet stream. It gets a little bit stronger, a little bit more robust, and it becomes more of a dominant feature. So your subtropical jet stream slowly fades away, but not enough because you can see down here, you can see that shear taking place here. So this would not be a favorable environment at all for any type of tropical development. In our neck of the woods, you see this trough axis here. So some basic meteorology. When you're looking for lifting, you want to look on this side of the trough because in this side of the trough, you have a lot of what we call diffluence. Air is rapidly leaving. So as a result, in order to balance mass, right, conservation of mass, you have rapidly rising air here. When you have air converging, like what you're seeing here, this leads to confluence and convergence, right? And so what happens is that the air sinks. So whenever you're along or to the west of this trough axis, that is when you have pleasant weather conditions. Another area of pleasant weather conditions is around the ridge axis, okay? So from the ridge axis on eastward, where you have convergence and confluence, right? So basically, you want to be in this area for pleasant weather conditions. And that is essentially where we're going to be for much of this weekend. But as you can see, another trough is moving into the west coast and it will be on the way. And notice we are seeing a lot of upper level lows here and a lot of ridges, a lot of cut off features trying to develop here. They aren't able to lock in because of what we call a QBO state moving into a positive state. So you tend to break up these upper level lows, but they are certainly are being more frequent. And I was reading some research earlier. I shared it on my X feed about the influence of Tonga from that volcano from a couple of years ago and how the water vapor is just creating complete total havoc because all that water vapor went into the stratosphere and it's creating a lot of havoc and a lot of volatility and a lot of chaos, an agent of chaos. So this might be part of the reason why our El Ninos and La Ninas maybe aren't acting like they should, and why the long range models, I know a lot of people like to look at the long range models for the winter and the fall and whatnot, aren't exactly performing very well because you have this agent of chaos. So it makes it a lot harder for medium, but especially long range and seasonal forecasts because of that, because we've never dealt with this before. I mean, guys, we had our satellites in 1975, and we never had this type of volcanic eruption, so we never observed it, and therefore we don't have the data to put into model guidance, and so we're starting to learn. And the model guidance is starting to learn. Even AI, I know AI sounds like some sort of, wizard out there, right, that can figure out everything. But if you don't have data to begin with, you don't have any points to look at, even AI is going to struggle because it's something that's completely new. So this is going to be a very, very interesting time over the next decade in terms of atmospheric science and understanding the meteorological impacts of these type of events. It's going to be very challenging, and I'm up for the challenge. On the water vapor satellite picture, here's our upper level low. See, there's our confluence and convergence. See that dry air that I was talking about? That's going to remain in place, and that's going to lead to very tranquil weather conditions. And if even the visible satellite picture, look at that. I mean, it's as clear as you could possibly get, and not a cloud in the sky. Very nice out there. In terms of our model guidance, I made these maps a little bit bigger as this was requested, so let's see what I could do. Now, on the 500 millibar PVA here through the weekend, not much in the way of any type of activity. It's pretty quiet out there. By Sunday evening, we get this upper level feature that originated. Let's go back here. It originated in central Canada, went into the Hudson Bay, and dropped south right into our neck of the woods. Now, part of this is the way that the pattern is evolving. Some of this is influenced with the negative PDO and with La Nina developing, and you get this amplification dropping in. And when you see an upper level low set up over New England and dropping into the Gulf of Maine, what that usually signals is a backdoor cold front. So we have some lifting here. Again, not crazy impressive like we were seeing a couple of days ago, where I had some serious doubts on that. So yeah, we have a backdoor cold front Sunday evening into Monday. It's going to produce a few showers. The theme for next week, because there's a bit of volatility, depends on the evolution of this backdoor cold front and the associated trough. So if it lingers around the Canadian Maritimes, then this trough is going to linger over us, and the backdoor cold front is going to introduce more of a maritime air mass into the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan areas, which leaves the temperatures stuck in the 70s. However, if the trough exits out a little bit like what we're seeing here, this ridge builds in, and guess what? We're talking about 80s throughout the region, possibly touching 90 degrees. Not a heat wave, so to speak, but it will be a little bit more summer-like, which is fine because they're heading into the Labor Day weekend by that point. But we also have this impressive upper level low coming in here. So one of my concerns is that you get this backdoor cold front stalled out, just kind of continuing to lead to frontogenesis and lifting over the region through the Labor Day weekend. Then this strong upper level low with an impressive cold front drives right through and sends more showers and thunderstorms right into most of the Labor Day weekend. And so for the weekend, I mean, not much moisture in the atmosphere. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. As we move towards Sunday evening into the early part of the week, we got a slight increase, more isolated showers than anything else. Then we see more of a focus in our relative humidity at 700 millibars. And there is our cold front moving through Friday into Saturday, setting up showers and thunderstorms. So we'll have to watch to see. Maybe the start of Labor Day weekend's a bit unsettled, and then the second half is a little bit better. In terms of precipitable water value, it's low throughout much of the weekend, increases to around an inch by the time we get to Sunday evening into Monday. So this again supports isolated showers. Nothing that's really impressive. But towards the middle of the week and towards the start of the Labor Day weekend, this is where you have precipitable water values pushing around 2 inches, and this could lead to some pretty heavy rainfall. So again, when you see red on this map, that is bad news. That's heavy downpours, potential for flooding, all of that stuff. So we really want to monitor that. And you can see in terms of precipitable water value, there's our maritime air mass, cooler maritime air mass, so it holds less moisture. Here's our tropical moisture and tropical air mass surging northward, kind of like a triangle here. And then here comes our polar air mass, which has the least moisture of all and much cooler air. And so you can see the setup here. And again, when you take a look at 850 millibar temperatures, we push up to around 20 degrees Celsius by the time we get to the middle of next week. So that's where we can see our 80s and 90s. And then here comes our polar cold front coming in from the west, creating all sorts of havoc, coming in and dropping our 850 millibar temperatures down into the lower teens. So certainly an interesting forecast setting up for next week. So expect some changes, a little bit of volatility, but I don't see, at least the start of the week, any heavy rainfall. Middle to end could be a different story. So diving into our forecast for today, absolutely beautiful, a little bit more seasonable with high temperatures in the lower to mid 70s over the northern interior, upper 70s to lower 80s along the coast. Today's the last day where you could kind of make the argument of mid-September type weather. Then for the weekend, high pressure being controlled for much of this upcoming weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, if you have any plans up through about Sunday afternoon, should be totally fine. Low temperatures on Saturday range from the mid to upper 50s over the interior and in your suburbs, upper 50s to lower 60s in your urban areas. High temperatures range from the upper 70s to lower 80s over the northern interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast. On Sunday, a little bit more humidity, just a bit more seasonable than anything else. Low temperatures in the lower to mid 60s, high temperatures in the upper 70s to lower 80s over the interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast. Not that bad, but a little bit more summer like. On Monday, Sunday night into Monday, The backdoor cold front approaches. You look for increasing cloud cover, isolated showers that continues on into Monday afternoon. Look for low temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s in your suburbs, mid to upper 60s in your urban areas. High temperatures ranging from the upper 70s to lower 80s on Long Island and Connecticut, lower to mid 80s everywhere else. Why that difference? This is where our backdoor cold front comes into play. Now, where this front sets up is going to define this whole week. So if the backdoor cold front lingers over our region, say on Tuesday, you end up with temperatures ranging from the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast, and high temperatures ranging from the upper 70s to lower 80s over Long Island and Connecticut, lower to mid 80s around the New York City metro into the Poconos and Catskills, and mid 80s in the Philadelphia metro and southern New Jersey. But if the backdoor cold front retreats into New England, like what we see on Wednesday and Thursday, then you end up with a little bit more humid conditions. Scattered cloud cover, still a threat for an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but your low temperatures will range from the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior and in your suburbs, upper 60s to lower 70s in your urban areas. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 80s over the interior, lower to mid 80s on the immediate coast, and upper 80s to lower 90s in the Delaware River Valley. But if that backdoor cold front stalls out, then you end up with temperatures more like what you would see for Tuesday. Then on Friday, our cold front will be approaching the region. Again, our stationary front will be hanging around as well. So you essentially have this stationary front boundary and this cold front approaching, and that's going to lead to variable cloud cover with scattered showers and thunderstorms. Look for low temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s for lows. High temperatures will vary quite a bit depending on the position of this frontal boundary. So, for example, in Long Island and Connecticut, temperatures range from the upper 70s to lower 80s. In the interior, the Poconos and Catskills, lower to mid 80s. And in the Delaware River Valley and southern New Jersey, temperatures will range from the upper 80s to lower 90s. If that frontal boundary ends up further north, then you end up warmer, further south, cooler. Then for the Labor Day weekend, well, there comes our cold front coming through on Saturday with showers and thunderstorms. But then Sunday and Labor Day Monday looks to be not too bad. A little bit cooler, lower humidity, and a true polar air mass. So we'll see how that all plays out. That is your premium public video forecast discussion for today. For details and for discussions like this every day, please check out the Premium Consulting membership. It's only $15 a month. And of course, if you want to help this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. In the meantime, stay safe out there.